So welcome everybody. Looks like we're up around 16 or so people. So welcome everybody to the meeting of the joint technical advisory committees for the Turlock Subbasin. That would be the East and the West Turlock Subbasin groundwater sustainability agencies. Up in front of you is just a list of some general logistics. The main thing to remember would be that we're going to keep any meeting materials online, and that if you have any questions or comments, we're going to have time for that in public comment as well as throughout the meeting agenda. So those are going to be there. You could use the chat. I'll try and monitor that as best I can. And then also you could at the appropriate time, the Michael and or Sarah will call for some comments. So that's all I have for now. Michael, Sarah, I'll pull up the agenda for you now.
Thank you, Herb. So as Herb mentioned, my name is Michael Cook. I work for Turlock Irrigation District. I'm the chair of the West Turlock Subbasin and Groundwater Sustainability Technical Advisory Committee. And I co-chair this meeting with Sarah Wolf, who is my counterpart somewhat on the East Turlock Subbasin GSA. I know for the West Turlock, I don't think we have a quorum yet. I have Turlock Irrigation District, the city of Turlock, and the city of Waterford, who represents Hickman. Also with Adriel, you're on. Welcome.
Hello.
So we have Merced County, but that's only 4 agencies for West Turlock, and we need 7.
And
So,
Michael, we are good. We need 3 for East Turlock, and we have Dennis Yatsua, Matt Beeman, and Adriel Ramirez, and myself, Sarah Wolf.
wonderful. And Jim Alves is on from the city of Modesto. Jim, are you able to represent Miguel today?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. You're the alternate. So it's 5, and we'll keep an eye on attendance. And should we get more attendees, we'll take official actions. But we'll get the meeting going. There'll be no action taken from the West Turlock Subbasin GSA until we get a quorum of our members. But in the meantime, let's push ahead with the agenda. So having said that, the first item on our agenda is public participation. This is the time set aside for members of the public to directly address the Technical Advisory Committee on any item of interest to the public that is within our subject matter jurisdiction. Again, you can speak in general items now or wait until something on the agenda piques your interest. So with that, I'll open up public participation. Any member of the public want to address the Joint Technical Advisory Committee?
Yes, this is Rhett Calkins.
Hey, Rhett, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, good. I'm curious about the progress on the discussion regarding water accounting between the East GSA and the West GSA. Are there any updates on when the public will see something on that, and how are the discussions going?
I'll start with that, and we have our attorney Valerie Kincaid online who can help me. But as you know, in the GSP, we developed a time schedule to work on the accounting mechanism. We are following that time schedule, and there have been meetings between representatives from the East Turlock and the West Turlock. I don't think we're at a point yet to share that information publicly. And probably, Rhett, that's all I have for you right now. It is being worked on, and we are trying to stay on schedule, but nothing to share at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Very well.
Yeah, and Michael, this is Val. I just to add to that, write-up, which is the first kind of 6-month agreement on the rules. Again, from the public perspective, it's probably less interesting because it's the rules rather than the application to the basin. But those need to be finalized by late July. And I have a draft of those that I'm working on. I do need to provide that to the West Turlock and the East Turlock for review. So that should be done in the next few days.
Okay, thank you for that update.
Thank you, Valerie. Welcome, Christy. With Stanislaus County here, we're up to 6. Still not quite at 7 yet. We'll move on. Anything else on public participation? Sorry. Thank you, Valerie and Rhett, for your question. Okay, item number 4, approval of the minutes at the May 26th regular joint meeting of the West Turlock and East Turlock Subbasin Technical Advisory Committees. Obviously, West Turlock, we can't take action right now, but Sarah, do you guys want to go ahead and take action?
Yeah, yes, I believe we can. So we would need to approve for the East Turlock Subbasin GSA TAC meeting from May 26th. And so can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
This is Dennis. I will motion to approve.
Thank you, Dennis. A second?
I'll second. This is Matt.
Thanks, Matt. So I have a first and a second, and we have to do a roll call vote. So Dennis,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Adriel,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
and Sarah, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, East Turlock Technical Advisory Committee. Okay, moving on to item number 5. We can't take item number 5. We don't have a quorum, so this is going to be interesting going forward, but this is a resolution allowing for continued online meetings due to the governor's state of emergency and the ongoing pandemic. So we'll skip over number 5 for now, as we don't have a quorum to take action. So with that, move on to item number 6, budget update. Michael Clipper, West Turlock Technical Advisory Committee. What do you have for us, Michael?
Good afternoon, everyone. For the West Turlock account, we have for the balance ending May 31st, we have $163,776.32. For the Basin account, for May 31st, 2022, we have $735,583.19. And I have a few pending invoices to pay, but that's about it.
Any questions from Michael on the West Turlock account or the Basin wide account? Michael, do we have any income outstanding? Any invoices you've sent out that members have not paid that we need to chase up?
I'd have to check on that. I haven't sent out. We usually it's 7/1. I send out all
Right.
the invoices.
So with that, everybody else, most of you have probably adopted your budgets right now. Those are on a state fiscal year calendar. So look for an invoice in the next few weeks from Michael, pay it for your dues for the upcoming year.
And other things.
And other things too, right? Sarah, over to you for the East Turlock's budget.
Sure. I'll give a similar report for East Turlock. Our balance of May 31, 2022 was $65,292.21. At today's GSA board meeting, we approved to pay the bills of $37,115.45, leaving us with a balance at the end of June 30 of $28,176.76, which we will be rolling into the 2022-23 budget year. And that budget has been approved previously in last month's meeting. So we'll be starting new for next month.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah on the East Turlock's budget? Okay, hearing none, moving on to item number 7, the main event of the day, the integrated regional water management. So this is discussing the integrated regional water management process, IRWM process, related to the groundwater sustainability plan, how that relates, how we could potentially get funding through the IRWM process. And with us today, we have Jim Alves, who is the coordinator for the East Stanislaus IRWM. And he works for the city of Modesto as kind of his day job. And then Jim's going to explain what IRWM is for those who don't know, how it could relate to our GSP, and then the state's funding process known as Opti. It's like an online portal where we can get our GSP projects uploaded to Opti, have them incorporated into the IRWM, and that could make us eligible for additional funding. So with that context, I'll hand over to Jim Alves. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. And I don't have a presentation to show, but I can kind of explain some things here. So IRWM stands for Integrated Regional Water Management. Basically a program. These are basically broken up, they're statewide. They're broken up into various regions. I think we're up to 49 different regions throughout the state. Some of the early ones that were established back in the early 2000s were built off of basically groundwater management agencies, or before their agent groundwater management plan areas, and a lot of them were jurisdictional based. But by the time Modesto area got involved, we were kind of a what they called a white area. We were probably one of the last major city areas that didn't have an RWM. Well, when we got involved in it by 2010, the state had kind of changed their guidelines a bit to say they wanted the boundaries to reflect not just jurisdictional, but more watershed based. And so what we did, just the long and short of it, what we decided to do as a partnership, and I'll explain that in a second, was we tried to fit the space that was left by everybody around us, which essentially the San Joaquin River to the west, the Tuolumne River to the south, and the Stanislaus River to the north. I take it back, not Tuolumne, the Merced River to the south. And this basically included all of the MID and TID areas, a good chunk of the Oakdale Irrigation District area. And on the east side, we just kind of met with the county line, which was the traditional, that was the boundary that was set. So we kind of tried to fill the blank that was left before us. Anyway, that being said, what we did in 2010 was we got as many agencies as that were interested at the time to form the IRWM partnership. And then we've grown that by a couple of agencies since then. So it currently includes City of Modesto, Ceres, Oakdale, Riverbank, and Houston. And it includes the county of the Stanislaus County. I think that's everybody. There's 6 of them. So basically all the agencies and the county. The major irrigation districts are not formal partners, but they have been involved in previous developments of the RWM plan, and in reviewing that and providing comments. So what we did was we formed a region and got that approved by the state. We formed a partnership with this, which is now encompasses 6 agencies. And that allowed us to then get some funding, which we did, and we developed an RWM plan, which is kind of more of a water resources plan for the area. And I would provide the website for that, but I can give you that, and you might have access to it. But I found out today that I don't have access to it. I think there's something wrong with the. I don't know what's going on. So I'll have to get back to you on that. But we have the website, and on there it has the plan, and it shows our calendars and whatnot. I admit I have not had time to put a lot of time into it since we got the last grant effort for the city of Turlock. But with some new staffing, we hope to be able to support that better. So under the RWM, the big push with that is once you have your plan, you have your region, it allows you to be eligible for grant funding from the state that is funneled through the IRWM program. And over the years, starting with I think right out, maybe even Prop 50 money, and through Prop 1 monies, some portions of those dollars have been funneled through the IRWM program, and they are allocated to the different regions. There's several funding areas in the state. We belong to the San Joaquin funding area, which now I think encompasses about 7 IRWM regions, basically from Contra Costa all the way down to Merced within the valley, not including the mountain areas. And so with all those RWM regions basically are in a funding area. And so the state a lot of times would allocate monies per funding area, and then we would compete for those grant monies with those RWMs within our funding area. So good news is we're not competing with the Bay Area or Southern California or whatnot for IRWM dollars. in terms of grants, the last, they're currently have allocated the Prop 1 monies. And so we utilized our last allocation of Prop 1 monies for the surface water project that would serve Ceres and Turlock in those areas. And as a region, we felt that even though there was only $5 million, we felt that that was an extremely important project to bring some money to. So as far as Prop 1 money, there's none left for us to allocate. We would be waiting for other funding opportunities to come about. And there are some that the state recently did approve. There's like a $300 million effort and a $500 million effort that's available for funding. I don't have those available with me to show you, unfortunately. But those are generally either by funding area, or some of them might even be statewide. So, and most of them are geared, most of the dollars right now are geared toward emergency drought efforts. But we expect in the future that, in the near future, the groundwater management funding will become available. And if some of that is allocated through the IRWM program, then our region would be eligible to either compete for those grants with our funding area, or if we decide to divvy up the dollars a different way, we can just apply for those grant dollars. So when we developed the plan, and again, I wish I could get access and share the screen on the website and bring up the plan. One of the things we did in terms is develop, our objectives, our goals, those kinds of typical things, our governance structure. But the other thing we also did was identify, problems and solutions. And typically those solutions are projects. And so at the time we asked all the stakeholders, whether they were partners or whether they were just stakeholders in the region, to submit all their projects. And so that was done. And the plan is a living document. So the way it's structured is we can update those projects on a regular basis. Usually we kind of coordinate that with funding cycles. But a stakeholder can go in at any time and update their project or put a project in. And then it would be, once it's in the plan, then it's technically, the state can check the box that says it's in an RWM plan. And that's kind of the simplistic of it. Once your project's in the plan, then it's technically eligible. Whether it's ranked number 1 or number 3 or number 10 really doesn't matter. But the process is the projects get put into the plan, and then there's usually an effort to kind of review the projects, make sure they're complete, and then we might rank them just based on how many objectives they meet and how close they are. Can they get matching funds? Those kinds of things. But the ranking, again, does not dictate in what order you could go and get grant funding. So that's a really important. The other nice thing is that we can update the plan with projects anytime, and we don't have to go back and adopt the plan or approve the plan, because it was written with the living document in mind. The only time we go back and adopt a new plan is if we change the plan in any way, or if the state changes its guidelines, and then we have to kind of revise the plan to meet those guidelines. Then we would go back and re-adopt the plan. The other aspect is whether or not you're a partner, you can get grant funding. But if you do get RWM grant funding, you do have to adopt the plan through your governing body. That is something the state requires. Typically with whatever grant program that is, depends on the grant guidelines, but that's typically something else you have to do in addition to getting your project in. So how do you get a project in? This is where the Opti software comes into play. When we set this up, we had hired what's now Woodard and Curran. They had a the software engine, algorithm platform that they then adapted for us. They use it for other entities as well. And they set this up for us so that we could insert our projects in. It's pretty straightforward. It's tab based. And there's a map there, and you can attach your project to the map. It's got spatial orientation. You can attach documents. You can put your financial data in there that, so you just go through each tab, and I wish I could walk you through it, but I can't get access to it. And it's pretty straightforward. You check boxes. It really is pretty straightforward to do. So I'm going to have to get back to the group, unfortunately, with the how to get into Opti, because the way I always did it was I go through my website and then I click on the link and it takes me into Opti. I don't remember what the URL is for that directly right now. I'd have to go look it up. It'll take you to the Opti website, which is still managed by Woodard Curran, by the way, kind of gratis at this point. It's another topic we have to discuss. And you put in some basic information about who you are, your representative, real simple things, name, phone number, a couple things. You send that off. I get a notification that you want to become a member of Opti. I go in, it looks okay. I click it, you're in. And then you can start inserting your project into Opti. And if there's any problems with that, I'm here to help, foster that through. If there's any questions you need on how to fill out certain fields, or how to, if you need to clarify some IRWM plan objective or goal, I can kind of help you walk through and appropriately check those boxes. But the key thing is that you get it in there, and you get the project in, and then theoretically that's all you need to do. You can technically say your project is in the RWM plan, whether yet we've had time to vet it out or not. It's in the plan, it's been accepted, and you can say that to the state that you're part of an RWM plan, and you'd be eligible for those RWM dollars, provided that your project meets the particular grant funding criteria. How we would decide which projects in RWM go for grants or not, that's where we all meet and decide what's maybe best for the region as a whole, and it's kind of a discussion. Typically there's not as many dollars as there are projects, but the idea is we do try to spread the money, available monies out. Everybody gets kind of an opportunity to get some grant funding, and that's really, as far as the Opti side, it's really pretty straightforward. Any questions so far, or I know I'm going kind of fast.
But Jim, looks like when you were speaking, again, thanks for your presentation, Herb has managed to dig out the website, and he's sharing it on the screen right now, so people know. Do you have any questions for Jim? Yeah, so that is the Tuolumne Stanislaus Integrated Regional Water Management Plan. I guess I forgot to say our region is called the East Stanislaus RWM. I should have said that. And I can't get into it, but it's www.eaststanirwm.org. It's eaststanirwm, all one word, .org. But I think we have an issue with our, may have an issue with our, I don't know. I know we paid our fees for that website, but yeah, I tried to get on while you were talking to.
Yeah, I already have a help request to my IT who manages that to say, hey, get back to me. So much apologies on that.
No problem. So I guess kind of in summary, if the state makes funding available through the IRWM that would relate to groundwater management and would ally to what we're trying to do here with the Turlock Subbasin GSP, it would be in our best interest to have our GSP and our projects on the IRWM list and in the OPTI system so we could access that funding. Because it's not guaranteed all the money, all the funding for groundwater projects will come through the existing channels, through the existing DWR programs.
Correct. And there is a statewide RWM group. It's called the Roundtable of Regions. There are folks throughout the state. This is probably all they do. You know, I mean, they're with bigger agencies. And so I participate in those forums every couple months. And it's kind of nice because they're involved with at the state level as well and pushing certain dollars through IRWM and promoting the IRWM. And they've been really big about promoting the IRWM program with legislators and with their local elected officials and how important it is and the benefits of it and all that kind of thing. So, but locally, yeah, we can get our projects, get your projects in, and then you know, and then we can go from there. Now, admittedly, the last few years we've had a lot of staff changeovers. I'm the last one that remains, so I need to rebuild our contacts with all the other partnerships because people have gone, their alternates are gone, and so that's on me. But the website is still supposed to be active, and OPTI is still active. And what we did with OPTI, I can tell you when the city did with the Stanislaus County, when we conducted the stormwater resources plan, which was something that was mandated by the state, we were able to adapt OPTI to take those projects too. In fact, if you go into OPTI, you can check the box on whether your project is IRWM only or IRWM and stormwater resources plan, if it's in both plans, you know. So we were able to expand OPTI to include the stormwater resources plan effort. We could do the same thing for groundwater if we wanted to, whereby they could create a separate kind of initial tab just for the groundwater sustainability agencies. And then your project would be not only categorized under IRWM, but it could be subcategorized as a particular groundwater sustainability agency project as well. And that's something we would have to talk to Woodard and Curran about doing. But I think the projects that would come out of the stormwater sustainability agencies, the stormwater sustainability plan, I think they would fit well with the objectives and goals that are already established in our IRWM plan. I mean, it's really all about groundwater. And I think a lot of those objectives and goals are already established in the IRWM plan for groundwater efforts. But that would be something we might want to also do is to take a look at those goals, objectives, and see if there are some additional ones that we need to include, or if we need to maybe revise some language a bit so that we don't leave any groundwater sustainability plan specific goals and objectives out of the RWM plan. But I don't think that's going to be critical at this point. That's something we could probably do if and when the state revises their guidelines, and or if we as a region decide we want to update the language in our RWM plan. I think the way the RWM plan goals and objectives are set up, I think they would more than adequately cover the types of projects that GSAs would want to include. Anyway, I know I'm talking a lot, so questions?
Questions for Jim. Jim, you answered my question. I was going to ask how the IRWM kind of aligns with the GSP, and it sounds like it's got a groundwater component, so they would work out pretty well.
It does, but it probably wouldn't hurt to go through
Right.
the GSP and just make sure that we don't have any misalignments, in that regard.
Is there any downside to being part of this process, IRWM?
There are no downsides at this point. I mean, typically we're not really funded. We don't have regular funding. What's happened, and this is typical of some RWMs that aren't funded regularly by, like, say, Los Angeles or the Bay Area, is that we've typically gone, whenever there was a plan update, we've only had one plan update that we get together and we put some monies together to do that. That we tried to get some, last time we were able to get some grant monies to help pay for that. And then, so we basically would self-fund as needed for whatever the effort might be. And typically it's either a plan update or it's a grant cycle that's coming through, and we have to meet and decide which projects we're going to go for. But typically then it would be up to whoever the lead agency is, or if there's more than one project in the grant application, those agencies would have to then decide how they're going to pay for the grant writing, if they're going to write it themselves or if they're going to hire someone to do the grant writing. And they kind of have to fund that themselves, because we don't do a cash call every year right now to the partners to fund the regular administrative efforts that are basically me at this time. So that's something that I know I have to address.
Yeah,
as
don't
I read-
rush on that one, Jim.
What's that?
Take your time on that one.
Yeah, I will take my time on that one.
We appreciate it.
I don't think it's an urgent matter at this point, but it's something that we're going to have to figure out how to do. How does IRWM fit in with all the other things we're doing?
Right.
The GSPs and the stormwater resource plans and all that kind of thing. So right now there's no downside to being having a project in IRWM or even being an IRWM partner. The IRWM is not it's governed by an MOU. So we're not a JPA. We don't have any regulatory or authorizing, everything that we do, we get through our governing bodies first. The plan does not dictate that what any agency or jurisdiction has to do. It doesn't dictate jurisdictional authority or land use planning or anything like that. You're not obligated to do anything that's not mandated in the grant, or if you become a partner and you say you agree to participate at a certain level, that you would participate at a certain level in terms of meetings and so forth. So it's really a kind of a portal right now to have our plan out there, a place that we can put our projects in that people can see, and you can house your projects in there. And it gives the state something they can also look at. Our plan was submitted and adopted back in 2013, which is the last time they had an update. I think last time, well, no, we did one in 2016. So, there's no downside. Yeah, get your. So what I'd like to do is maybe at some other time when I get this URL thing figured out here, is I can kind of walk through not only just the RWM website, but also quickly go into the Opti program and just kind of walk through what Opti looks like and what you can do. The one last thing I want to say about Opti is that it is not owned by any of us in RWM. It is owned by Woodard and Curran. They have basically been maintaining this this engine, this database, of which we are just one of many people that utilize it. They've been doing it pretty much for free for us. I mean, they maintain it for everybody, but we still have access to it. At some point, I think if we're going to be utilizing this and we want to take advantage of their technical assistance or their ability to revise certain pages, and we probably should have an agreement to compensate them for those services in maintaining the website for us. And that's something that we don't have right now, but it's something we probably, and it's probably not a big cost, but it's something we do need to address, particularly if we're going to continue to utilize it, and we're going to expand it to include more projects. So just kind of, let's put that on the radar.
Yeah, I got that, Jim. Sounds like you had a question. Did someone have a question for Jim?
Yeah, this is Mike with the City of Waterford, Jim. I have a resolution here that's from 2018 that says that we are part of the IRWM, but you didn't mention this earlier. I'm just trying to validate whether we are or not.
Riverbank?
Waterford.
Waterford, yes. I knew I missed somebody, and I didn't mean to miss Waterford.
Okay, I just want to double check. So thank you very much.
Yeah. So it's basically all the incorporated cities in the county, and the county itself are the members, are the partnerships at this time. And I know at least one stakeholder, I think Tuolumne River Trust, who's not a partner but a stakeholder. I believe they actually adopted the plan. I think there's another stakeholder, if I remember, that actually adopted the plan, because not only can you, there are sometimes other grants outside of IRWM, other grants outside of IRWM funding. And I know we've done some of these, like the State Resources Control Board, and they'll ask, hey, is your project part of the IRWM plan? It's like a checking the box for them. And if they can say, yes, we've put our project in and it's been vetted, whatever, you can check that box, even though they're not going for IRWM funding. Sometimes it benefits in that way too. We've done that a couple of times where they're like, oh my God, we got to get our project into the RWM. And I go, well, let's do it. And let's not let that box be unchecked, for you to go get some other funding. So it's not just RWM dollars sometimes. It may be other state grants.
Sounds good. Okay, so we had a presentation, chance to ask questions. This is an action item. I'm pleased to report Michelle Harris from Keys Community Services District has joined the West Turlock. So I'll call us to order at 2:39. It allows us now to take actions. So we've had Jim's presentation. Any things we want to discuss? It seems there is no downside to doing this, and there may be the potential upside that funding could be available that through this Opti system and partnering with the East Turlock IRWM. Any questions, or do we have a motion here to move ahead? We're going to make that motion from the West Turlock.
Move to approve. Waterford, representing Hickman.
Okay, thank you, Mike Pitcock. Do you have a second? This is recommended that the GSP projects be added to the Opti system, and the West Turlock Subbasin GSA TAC provide a letter of support to the representative of the East Turlock IRWM, requesting the Turlock Subbasin GSP and projects be incorporated into the East Turlock IRWM plan. So that's Mike's motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And that was
It's me, Orlando Gutierrez.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Thank you, Orlando. So a motion from Waterford, second from Turlock. Any further discussion? The And there's a motion, right, Jennifer? So we can do a voice vote.
That is correct, Chair Cook.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Okay, with that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the West Turlock signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion stands approved. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you. I think, not having heard any comments from East Turlock yet, but I think this is something we'd also like to participate in. So are there any comments from the East Turlock members at this
Yeah,
time?
sorry, this is Matt with Merced Irrigation District. I just want to make a quick comment that a portion of the Turlock Subbasin is within the Merced IRWM region. So if there are projects that are, it generally falls south of Dry Creek is within the Merced Irwin region. So if there are any projects in that area, I would not expect it to go in East Stanislaus. Our Irwin region is flexible too, so we could look at adding projects. It's not a big deal.
So Matt, having heard that, would it be appropriate for East Turlock to make a motion that we submit our projects to both the Stanislaus and the Merced County IRWMs, respective of their location?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, as far as on the Merced side, it wouldn't have to be any kind of a formal letter or anything like that. We could just work with the agencies to get it in. So we could take an action, but I don't think an action is actually needed if yeah.
Okay. Well, is anyone interested in making a motion from East Turlock along those lines?
This is Dennis. I will make a motion to.
Thank you, Dennis. And a second?
Can I second that?
Of course. Thank you, Christy. And just to reiterate, where the motion is to upload our projects in East Turlock into the Opti system, and we'll just identify if any need to be in the Merced area, that they would go into that project grouping as opposed to this one. So with that, can I get I'll do a roll call vote. Dennis?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Adriel?
Yes.
And Sarah, yes. So motion carries for East Turlock.
Okay, thanks, everybody. If I may indulge you, Sarah, and others, because I have a quorum now of the West Turlock GSA, can I go back to item number 4A, which is the approval of the minutes of the West Turlock Subbasin GSA?
Yes.
Is that okay, everybody? So this is approval of the minutes of the regular May 26th joint meeting of the West and East Turlock Technical Advisory Committees. So can I get a motion to approve those minutes, please, while we're here? Says Michelle Harris from Keys has made a motion. I think she might have some audio problems, but she did it through the chat. Do we have a second for that?
Second, Waterford.
Second, Waterford. Any further discussion? Any changes to those minutes? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So we've adopted the minutes. Oh, sorry, any opposed? None. So hearing that, we've adopted the minutes of the May 26th, 2022 regular meeting. And then one more thing, going to item number 5. This is a resolution of the West Turlock Subbasin GSA recognizing the state of emergency proclaimed by the governor and reauthorizing remote teleconference meetings for West Turlock. I'm assuming we still want to continue meeting by teleconferencing, and the virus is still out there. I've been quarantined at home, not because of me, because of an exposure. So just so you know, COVID is real. Do we have a motion to continue the West Turlock meetings, TAC meetings via teleconference? Okay, Michelle's you making the motion on that one too?
And I'll second.
Okay, so a motion from Michelle Keys, second from Mike from Waterford. Further discussion? Hearing no. So this is a resolution. Sorry. So Jennifer, you're gonna have to call the roll. So Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Member Alves,
Here, approved.
Member Gutierrez,
Yeah.
Member Harris, Member McKinnon,
Yes.
Member Pitcock,
Yes.
Member Ramirez,
Yes.
and Chair Cook.
So yes, Michelle's obviously having audio problems. She made the motion.
She made the motion and I actually see that she's indicated when I called her name for roll present. So I would presume that that would be an indication that she voted yes on that item as well. Michelle, if that's correct, if you would please let me know via chat. Otherwise, I'm happy to make a clarification for you. I just got a yes, that is correct. So Chair, your resolution has passed.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being you helped us through that. And thank you for allowing me to take things out of orders too. Okay, with that, we're going back to the agenda. We are item number 8, Sigma related updates. This is where we just give general updates on Sigma related items. We do have these bullet points we generally cover, but it's also a chance for others to fill us in on what they're working on and what's up ahead. Herb, you want to start with communication and outreach?
Yes, Michael, I just have two quick items. The first one of which is just a notice that we are working on extending the agreement we have with the Department of Water Resources related to the facilitation support services funding that we've received. You might remember we applied for that funding as we were working on the GSP. There were 5 tasks that we worked on that we had listed in our agreement with DWR. 4 of those tasks were complete as we finished up the GSP and submitted it. The 5th task was in Basin coordination with other GSAs and other subbasins that are around us, that are adjacent to us. And of course, with the other subbasins working to remedy their plans that were deemed incomplete within the 180-day window. That kind of provided a little bit less of an opportunity for us to coordinate with them on GSPs because they are doing a much more important job at the time of remedying their plans to resubmit to the Department of Water Resources. So we are working with DWR, and we have a contract for that. The whole FSS runs out on June 30th, so in about a week or so. And we've been working steadfastly with the Department of Water Resources to extend that through the remainder of the year to finish out various communication activities and facilitation activities related to interbasin communication. And so I am working with the lead over there at DWR and in that area on extending that out. It's just a clerical thing that needs to be done in there for it. But in order for us to use the money that's remaining from the funds that they've allowed us to use, or DWR has essentially paid for these tasks to work with the vendor, we need to extend it out. And so I'm working on that. That's my first point. On a brighter note, the second point is that the 2 GSAs have won their first award. We applied for the Groundwater Resources Association of California's Stakeholder Summit Awards as part of their annual groundwater summit that they hold. And we applied. We were one of 5 entities. We were the only entity to apply with both GSAs or multiple GSAs in the sub-basin. The other 4 entries were single GSAs. We applied and we submitted information and a video, and they graded our submittals on one of 7 categories: creativity, innovative approaches, inclusion of stakeholders, integration of Sigma into decision-making processes, and much, much more. And at the end of the day, we ended up last week, 2 weeks ago, taking home this award. We'll find a way, since there's 1 award in 2 agencies, to find a way to get a copy of the award And so that both GSAs in their non-existing buildings at current because the brick and mortar lies elsewhere, to find a way to post those up. And so that's the good news. We got our first award, and we'll look to try and submit more as we move about the GSP process. Good news for us, though, it just shows that the outreach we've been doing is something that's meeting the statewide standard. So, and DWR was in attendance at that conference. So that's a good thing for us as far as stakeholder engagement. But that is it for me.
Thank you, Herb. Well done to you on the award, all the work you've done over the last few years, and also in putting that award together for the West and East Turlock GSAs. Any questions for Herb on communications outreach? Okay, hearing none. I've got a quick one on grant updates. So Prop 1 grant, we've got about $25,000 remaining, and to cover final report items as needed. The Prop 68 grant, as you know, we completed the well installations. The programmatic environmental impact report is going well and under budget. So we hope to get a new kind of budget looking at that project and figuring out if we can use some potentially leftover funds for additional work, which would be the funding of the final PEIR, some survey work for the monitoring network, and design and siting of additional monitoring wells. And so Debbie has been working with DWR to ask for an extension of the grant through April 30th and to kind of reallocate those funds to various lines of work. So that seems to be going well, but we'll keep you posted on that. And then kind of tying into what Jim Alves was talking about earlier, there will be a grant coming out in September for Sigma related work. And so we'll be working with Todd to put a grant application together. And it's important that we kind of get on board with our projects and figure out what we want to do. And so make sure that you're thinking about the projects you may want to do. Obviously, shovel ready is always better. And make sure we put them, or they're part of the GSP if they're not included in the GSP, or we put them in the RWM if they're not in the GSP. So some flexible ways to go forward, but September will be here before you know it. So, and I know as we started implementing, thinking maybe we should look at some different options, not in a bad way, but just, you know, things occur to you as you start working on it. Anyway, so please be aware of the potential grant opportunity in September and be ready to work with Todd on putting our application together. Okay, that was it on grants, and not much else on implementation. Other than I think we're working well together, moving in the right direction. And as you know, not lots happening at the state level in terms of, you know, people's GSPs being reviewed, revised GSPs being resubmitted to the state, and also, you know, potential frustration from the legislature and NGOs. The Sigma hasn't created sustainable groundwater use throughout the state already after 2 years. So you've seen a kind of flurry of legislation looking at how to move things along. We'll keep our eye on that stuff. Okay, anything else on Sigma related updates? Okay, not hearing anything. So that brings us to item number 9, next meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 28th, 2022. So make sure it's on your calendar. And again, because of the action we took earlier, that will be a remote meeting and you'll be able to participate online. Any other updates, any other information, any other questions? Okay, so with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment from the West Turlock Subbasin GSA TAC. Oh, hang on, I got.
Oh, I guess I
my
did.
audio quit
Mike's
working too. Okay, go ahead, Sarah. Sarah's got an update from the East
Mike's
Turlock.
prompting me that I forgot something. So, thank you, Mike. I think I have an update on outreach. I know that for the East Turlock GSA, we've been doing some workshops on various components of the GSP. We had a project workshop where we discussed the projects in our GSP. And then we also had one on management actions. And we intend to have one here very soon on, we're going to be discussing with government agencies on various impacted counties and agencies on dry wells in the area for potential recharge opportunities. We're going to try to be doing some more outreach to, again, re-engage with the Merced County rural areas that we've met with before in July. And Mike, what else am I forgetting? You might have to chime in here and fill in for me. Maybe I hit them all. Oh, he says the audio is not working. So I think you'll be hearing more updates from us as far as outreach, but upcoming workshops that'll be occurring over the summer and into the fall on Eastside GSA.
Great, Sarah. Thanks for that update. And I appreciate you guys on the east side there, cracking ahead and working on your Sigma implementation. That's really, really good. Okay, as I mentioned, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 28th, 2022. So with that, another chat thing here. With that, I'll take a motion for adjournment for the West Turlock Subbasin GSA TAC. Okay, Michelle made the motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
That was Jim.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, West Turlock is adjourned. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Michael. Can I get a motion to adjourn for East Turlock?
This is Matt, I'll move.
Thanks, Matt. A second.
I'll second. Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis. I'll do a quick roll call. Matt?
Yep.
Dennis?
Yes.
Adriel?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
And Sarah, yes. We're adjourned as well. Thank you very much.